Simple enough. Fan Zone's all about you and your opinions. And as you can see from the title, as you can see from the thumbnail, it's going to center around Caicedo and obviously the transfer window in turn. Chelsea are pulled out of negotiations with Sporting on Manuel Ugarte. He seems to be going PSG now, as confirmed by Fabrizio Romano. So it seems like Chelsea will turn their attentions to Moises Caicedo, a player that we made a couple bids for in January, a player that any Arsenal fan I speak to wants to see at the club. A lot even saying they'd prioritise him over a Declan Rice. But I want to know what you think. The AFTV viewers, download the app, follow the instructions. I'm with Cecil, so make sure you're taking part. What are you saying, my bro?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I haven't been a FanZone in a while. I watched you guys on Friday, you, James, and Robbie. And I have a little bone to pick with Robbie. I'm ashamed I wasn't here because how things he was saying. I know I'm not going to give away the show name between you and him that you're going to create because I think it's genius. But he sometimes does talk a load of rubbish, shall we say, at times. And do you know what? I'm one of Robbie's, I'd say, when he speaks on football, I think he's very good. I'm one of his biggest fans. But sometimes he just goes left, way left as well. Like there's some things I don't agree with. Last week, Friday, if you haven't seen it on FanZone, check it out. That one went a bit left about the Granit Xhaka saying he'd walk into certain clubs midfield. And on top of that, I'm not really one that's wanting to see him stay come the new season. I think he had a great season this season. I think he had a really good season the season before. But I kind of want him to move on. I'm ready for him to move on. And I know I was speaking to you off camera, but even if I see Partey go, I wouldn't be surprised. It's something that, I wouldn't mind seeing, but I've had my question marks over Thomas Partey. I think he started the season very well, but he did fail towards the end, and that's happened quite regularly in his time here at Arsenal.
So you want to sell? Wait. Partey, you want to sell Partey?
Partey, yeah. I know we're doing a Caicedo show, and I think Caicedo would be a great replacement. But I think if Arsenal go to sell Thomas Partey, I would not be annoyed. I just have such big question marks over him. I think for the majority of the first half of the season, he was fine, but Turkish, I'm sorry. The games he's missed, it's 254 days. That's 41 games. That's more than a season missed through injury. And before, people would say at Atletico, he never was injured. He was, but he only missed, I think, 1 or 2 games. But since he's been at Arsenal, yeah, man, the not being available, big hindrance. And when he is missing in games, it really affects the side. And I think Caicedo, I've been a fan of N'Golo Kante. I think Caicedo is that and more. I would love him. I'd love both. Let's make this clear. I want Declan Rice and Caicedo. But I do pip Caicedo more in who I want to join this Arsenal side. I'd love both. I expect we should be going for both. I know it sounds crazy me saying if Partey should move on. I wouldn't be surprised, but
yeah, it does.
I understand that. Arsenal, I think, need to really move like a big club this summer. Yes, of course, we don't really see it happening. I was at the Emirates last week playing on there. Nigel Winterburn was there and he said, you would never see us go for 3 midfielders. I don't expect us to do that, but if we do, that is great. And I feel that's what we're going to need to do if Partey and Xhaka move on. Even if Xhaka moves on and Partey stays, we need to get 2 more midfielders. I think we need Declan Rice and Caicedo. And Partey is going to have to understand, because he's missed so many games for us, yes, you're staying, but you're not going to be the main fold. You have to understand it's going to be competition for your position. We've got loads of games. You have to be a rotational player in that midfield, and that's how I need to see it. I need Arteta to be ruthless this summer window. Everyone's talking about it, and I feel like he needs to prove that in just bringing in midfielders and keeping that rotation between that midfield proper. But Caicedo,
I'm not even entertaining Partey sell.
Serious?
I'm not entertaining it at all. I mean, I think we should sell Jorginho. That's what I said last week. I think we've got 3 sixes in the side at the moment. Nene given a contract because of his injury problems, a nice gesture, whatever. I don't expect to see him much next season. So I look at the 6s that will be in rotation out of the ones we've got at this moment is Partey and Jorginho. I want us to bring in a Caicedo to compete and then, overtake Partey in a year, 2 years, 3 years. And I think we can kind of let go of Jorginho, who really came in my opinion, as a stopgap signing. I looked at his entry in January and I thought
his contract showed that as well.
Wasn't the best of signings in my opinion. Was he better than expected? For me, yes, because I didn't expect much, and he was okay when given the opportunity. He actually stepped up when Partey's form kind of dipped at the end of the season. But I also think that a few of his performances were overrated by Arsenal fans along the way. So I think we paid 12 mil for him, try and get 10 mil for him. You kind of cut your losses there in a sense, and you bring in adequate competition and adequate replacement for Partey in a Caicedo. I think that's the best way to maneuver it, because Partey, as much as you're right, you can't really rely upon him too much. When you mention how many days he's missed, how many games that works out to, that this is 3 years in now. But when he plays, he can be special. So moving into Champions League, I'd want him as part of the options we have in the 6th position. I think perfect for us would be Caicedo and Partey going into next season competing for that number 6.
Yeah, he can fall off as well. I mean, we saw that towards the tail end of the season. You're right, he can be special at times, but he also can have a dip, and that affects the side. We saw that towards, like I said, the latter stage of the season. We saw him also playing in right back position, which he has played before. I think he was woeful in that position as well. Listen, I've appreciated what he's done here at Arsenal. This sounds like I'm saying goodbye, thank you for the memories, but I just feel like we're going to need to have adequate replacement or adequate competition for him, like you say, Caicedo, but also I want a Declan Rice in there as well. I really want a strong 3 options in that midfield. I want it to be a rotation. I don't mind the idea of Jorginho moving on as well, but I feel like you need to really, really go strong and strengthen that midfield. I think Arteta, since he's been at Arsenal, focused on the defence. I feel like he's got to a good place. I still think we're going to need cover for Saliba, but I think he's done well at rebuilding from the back. I think the next stage is building from the midfield, and the midfield is so key to any team, and getting it right is important. And I feel like that's where we need to bring in some more strength in depth. I want to see a lot more from Arsenal this summer window by bringing in the likes of Caicedo and Rice. Imagine that. Like, there won't be a drop. Thomas Partey, if he has a off game, he had a few off games towards the end of the season, but we didn't really want to rotate him. Yeah, we put Jorginho in there, but Arteta doesn't really want to rotate him, like what he did with Bukayo Saka, just trying to make him play. I feel like we're going to need a lot of strength in that position, and I think Caicedo doesn't drop the level if he comes in, and if you have Declan Rice in there as well, if Xhaka moves on, that is perfect, because he can do the box. I know he plays 6 a lot, but he can do the box if needed. So,
well, I know we've got callers waiting, so we're going to get into it in the next minute or so. But a couple hours ago, Fabrizio Romano tweeted saying Asensio and Ugarte will both undergo medical tests in the next hours at PSG. Ugarte will sign until June 2028. Asensio will sign until June 2027. Mendes took care of both deals, and he's also in Paris to complete all the documents. So he's here. We go the Ugarte stuff. The reason I mentioned this is because this seemed to be the player Chelsea were prioritizing heading into this transfer window. It's not open yet. I think we're about 9 days away from it opening. I believe it's on the 14th. But that one looks pretty much set in stone that PSG will be signing Ugarte. And to be honest, Sensi, I would have taken him. I had a little debate with Robbie about it a couple of days ago. So it'd be interesting to get fans' opinion on that. Not that it matters, because he's PSG bound. Player, but I think in terms of depth and backup for Saka and rotational option, I think Sensi on a free, I would have definitely taken him. But this is about Caicedo, because Chelsea's priority, Manuel Ugarte, is going to PSG, and also considering Brighton are the team that will essentially be buying off, or someone will essentially be buying off for Caicedo. Some news on McAllister to Liverpool. Here we go. Full agreement, says Fabrizio Romano. Liverpool will pay the buyout clause in the next days, way less than the reported 60 million fee.
Let's just quickly, I know we've got callers as well and we want to get to them 100%, but let's just talk. Who is the most, it feels like Liverpool the most proactive club in the windows, because when I go back to January, they kind of had the Cody Gakpo done kind of before the window opened around December time. This Alexis McAllister stuff seems like it's pretty much done as well. It's like, why is no other, I mean, there might be other clubs in Premier League. I think Nottingham Forest were quite proactive as well. They signed a whole bunch of players, but proactive wise, Liverpool seem like they just have their targets. They go from, they get them done prior to the window opening, and they seem like they have a plan, they get it sorted. We want that from Arsenal, and I'm not going to slate Arsenal's window too much because they've brought in good players, but it seems like they are the most proactive when it comes to getting the players. Their targets is Liverpool.
Yes and no, because yes, if you look at maybe a Diaz last January, if you look at a Gakpo this January, if you look at Nunes last summer, they were proactive signings. But if you look at their midfield, they've been the opposite of proactive with their midfield. They've essentially been very overreactive because
Jude was supposed to
because at this point now they need 2 free midfielders this summer, to say the least. And yes, we need 2 free midfielders as well, but we've also had, 3 years ago, we were saying we need 2 free forwards, we need 2 free midfielders, we need 2 free defenders and so on. So we've had to kind of slowly but surely rebuild, whereas I think Liverpool have kind of neglected their midfield, or the owners have neglected their midfield to the point where this season has kind of, proved that they were too slow in their reinforcements in the midfield. So there's examples for there's examples for no. And one super chat from Dave saying, sell Partey before we hear, quote, a 30-year-old has been arrested again. Injury prone anyway. Caicedo, hysterics remind me of Basuma saga last year. Basuma's someone I would have taken.
Yeah, so would I.
Basuma's someone I would have taken, but if you look at the way his season's gone for Tottenham.
It's terrible, it's not been good. But it's because, listen, I hear that, but again, we're doing the, and no one knows. It's a Tottenham thing. He's at Tottenham. The same way I think about Mudryk. I think Mudryk would have been a good player at Arsenal, in my personal opinion. I think he's got ability there. He's just in a failing Chelsea side. I think the same for Basuma. I think Basuma would have been able to add to this Arsenal side. It's just he's a failing Tottenham side. So it's here nor there. But I think Caicedo definitely 100%. Listen, I've been watching quite a lot, especially from January when we was linked to him. I've been looking at him through this season, and I think, he is quality. He just seems like a player that fits Mikel Arteta's system. If he asks him to do something, if you're going to play right back and you do not let your winger beat you, he will do everything and more to make sure that does not happen. He's a workhorse. He reminds you, like I said before, reminds you of Kante, but he has an excellent passing range. I think he has a better passing range than Kante, and I love Kante. I wanted Kante at Arsenal. I sometimes float around the office and people say Cecil let it go, but I still wouldn't even mind him here at Arsenal. But Caicedo is an upgrade on that. So yeah, man, I hope he does make the move.
And we've got a poll in the chat as well. How much is Caicedo worth? 3 options: 50, 70 to 80, or 100 million. So you can place your votes while we get our first caller on. So let's see who we've got in the building first.
I think they want around 100 million for him.
Brandon, I believe, is the first caller we have. Yes, Brandon, what are you saying?
How we doing? Guys?
All good, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad.
So this Caicedo stuff, I mean, do we push him up the priority list now that Chelsea's Ugarte chase is over, or do we stick to our guns and get Declan Rice in first and then see what we're working with after?
Well, firstly, I've got a job for Cecil on behalf of all Arsenal fans. I've heard you and Edu are boys now, so I want you to be hitting up his phone and reminding him that there is a transfer window about to open. Tell him as well that we know that the weather in the UK is starting to heat up a little bit, but we ain't got time for barbecues. So put down the utensils, take off the shorts, take off the sandals, and get us some signings.
Brandon, I need an invite to that barbecue, man. You're gonna ruin that for me. No, I'm joking. Yeah, I'm gonna be on him. Go on.
In my mind, this Caicedo deal should already be done. We went in for him in January. We couldn't get him in January. And now we're in a position where Chelsea are sniffing around. They couldn't get Ugarte. And the sticking point for me is going to be, will we offer the money? And this is the problem with Arsenal, in my opinion. We lose out on too many of our first choice targets because we're not willing to go the extra mile and spend the extra money.
Should we, Brandon, should we go into a bidding war? So say if it comes into a bidding war with Chelsea and they're saying that it pushes to 100 million, do you care that Arsenal should be going back and forth to try and get Caicedo to a high price? Or do you think, no, there should be a time to pull out? 'Cause it seems like Arsenal love to not get involved in these bidding wars.
To be honest with you, I'm not fussed. It's not my money, so I'm not fussed. But fair. It shouldn't even be reaching that point, Cecil, to be honest with you, because, like I say, this deal should be wrapped up anyway. Yeah. It's quite clear that in January, Caicedo was very disappointed to not be able to come to Arsenal. He's made it quite clear that Arsenal is his first choice. So it's an easy deal to get done. The most difficult thing about a transfer is convincing the player to come to your club. Yeah. The player already wants to come to Arsenal. So I want to know why. Like, we're looking at other clubs like Liverpool and that today. They've already wrapped up deals before the transfer window is already open. And, Arsenal don't ever seem to do that. And the problem is it's arguably the most important transfer window in our recent history. Because if we're to maintain where we are and cement ourselves in the position that we found ourselves in now, where we're actually competing again, we have got a lot of work to do in this transfer window, and we can't afford to be messing around and offering money that Brighton doesn't want, and and then going back 10 days later with an extra 5 million just to end up losing out on the player anyway. And, you know, in my mind, we need Rice, we need Caicedo, regardless of the Thomas Partey situation, because, again, Thomas Partey, he's getting older now, and we're going to end up needing a long-term replacement for him anyway. And, you know, towards the back end of the season just gone, you know, you kind of touched on it already. Thomas Partey looked like the oldest 29-year-old I've ever seen, apart from Obafemi Martins, of course, you know. But it's quite obvious that in the long run, he's going to need replacing. And I just think, you know, bring in both Rice and Caicedo. Look at Manchester City, for an example. You know, we're striving to be the best, and we're striving to become as good as them, and, you know, to beat them and overtake them. They've got strength in depth on every single position of the pitch. You know, even down to Rodri, right? If you look at Rodri, their backup to Rodri is Calvin Phillips. And, you know, if you go back to when Man City signed Calvin Phillips, there are a lot of clubs interested in Calvin Phillips. Yeah. It's not like he's a bad player. He just hasn't really been given the opportunity at Man City because the competition is far too high and it's difficult for him to get into that squad. So we need to be on that sort of level where, you know, we've got quality player coming in for quality player. And, you know, you bring in Caicedo, you could arguably play Declan Rice as an 8. And then you got Thomas Partey, who would kind of be in the rotation there for me. And then, you know, but yeah, we need to get both players.
Thank you, Brandon, for that. I appreciate that. Listen, I agree with a lot of what you said there, and thank you as well for joining. I will be on to Edu. Don't worry, trust me.
Get that phone out, Cecil. Make sure you're leaving in voicemails now, bro. Come on.
All right, I'll do it. I'll message him as we speak, brother. Big respect, though. It's good to see you, Brandon. Just we'll hopefully speak to you soon. Thank you, man. Big up.
Cheers, guys.
Love,
bro. Boy. Edu, well, I know he's on watch. I've been doing Twitter Spaces, been doing Instagram lives, and everyone keeps telling me, they're saying like, listen, it's a big summer for him. And you know what? I think they're right. This is the biggest window. Going to Champions League football after 6 years is one that needs to be done correctly. And we have assets now. I keep swinging guys. We have assets in this Arsenal side. So players need to go. Money needs to be made. It needs to be reinvested. We've got a big season ahead.
Finally, we've got assets. Finally. We went for a fair few years without having any because the club was stripped down of assets by these owners. That's why these owners need to do what they need to do to...
Mustafi and Kolasinac, they're all worth a bit.
That's your guys. That's your era. My era ain't no Mustafi and Kolasinac, my bro.
My guys.
That's why I feel sorry for the younger fans sometimes, and I have to take a step back to understand where you man are coming from.
It's not my guys, people.
They ain't my guys, trust me. Who we got next in production? Next? Ryan in the building. Yep.
Turkish, my man, how's it going?
What are you saying, man? You good?
Yeah, I'm good, my G. Long time. How's it been?
I'm alright, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Little one good?
Yeah, all good, man.
Yeah, just a few things I've got to say first and foremost. I'm with Turkish. I'm one of the older G's, keeping it real. And I'm with you. We need to flex this summer. I'm totally with that. I think we've been acting like a top 4 side for too long. We're Arsenal Football Club. What are we doing? What have we been doing, Turkish? Talk to me, Mudgy. What have we been doing?
You know what we've been doing. We've been messing about.
We've been messing about. So I'm with you. This summer, it's on the Kroenkes. This summer, for me, this is the one that I'm looking at. After this summer, I'll tell you where I am with the Kroenkes. Because I'm with you. We come full circle now, back to Champions League. If they don't swing their thing this summer, if they ain't swinging it like a big boy, I'm going to be disappointed. I'm going to be really disappointed. The season that we've had is made me fall back in love with my club, Turkish. My club. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they need to build.
And now all of a sudden, I'm frustrated though, Turkish, because even though we've had such a great season, I've got that horrible feeling in the pit of my stomach. This summer's not going to go how I want it to go, Turkish.
That's because
Cecil, you need to stop printing T-shirts anyway. Let me just get that out there. My G, man, you killed me. You killed me, Cecil.
Bro, imagine if I killed you, imagine how much I got, brother. Trust me.
I can't believe Turkish let you get away with that, man.
Nah, he warned me, but I was enjoying it. I want to ask you as well then, bro, if you're saying they need to spend, say if they do spend 250 million, yeah? They're bringing the players you want to see. but Arsenal don't have the season that you wanted. We fall out of, I don't know, top 4, say. Are you still on the Kroenkes going into next? Is it their fault?
It depends on how we act. This is, some of the points that Turkish are making. If we're acting, like, I'm not being rude, if we're acting like Arsenal, we give contract because he's injured, I don't care if Smith's club anymore. We're Arsenal Football Club. We should be saying, Thomas, you're going nowhere. Thomas, you're going nowhere. We're going to get Declan, we're going to get Caicedo, and Thomas, you're the third. At the 3, you're an asset. You're going nowhere. Why are we acting like Spurs? We're not a small club. We're a big club.
What happens if the player wants to move, though? What happens if the player wants to move and he's not happy, he wants to go back? Say if Thomas Partey wants to go back to Italy and he starts...
Is he under contract? Is he under contract?
But if the player if he starts performing badly because he wants to move and Arsenal holding him by will to stay, then is that would you prefer that then?
No, I get what you're saying in regards to that. Okay, so I'm not saying let's be a Chelsea. I'm not saying let's be as ruthless as that. But let's start moving like a big club. People are tied down to contracts and we're getting other players, and we need to build a squad of players. Okay, so we don't want a basic 11, 22. We need 24 man. So I just want to see the Kroenkes go big this summer. You're talking 250. I'm talking 300.
Oh wow! Okay, fair.
I want 300 because we need it, Cecil.
No,
you know how long we've been living in the mud. I'm beyond regen. I'm 41, bruv. I've been living this dire for 10 years now. It's killing me. So no, without being negative, I've had a fantastic season. Really enjoyed AFTV content. Really enjoyed everything that's been going on. Big up yourself. Big up.
Just not my t-shirt in it. I hear it.
Not the t-shirt, bruv. Not the t-shirt. It killed me. It killed me. Everyone going on at me about that t-shirt. I don't want to hear it, man.
I had it as well. But listen,
can we wait till May? Yeah. Can we just agree? We wait till May. Any kind of production, just keep on him, boys.
Lesson learned.
Keep on him.
Trust me.
And you got Turkish for that spider, and he let you get away with that. Oh
man. Don't remind him, man. Car swings and roundabouts.
For you boys, who would you like to see in apart from Caicedo and Rice? What are you looking for?
Oh, I'm tired of talking about what I'm looking for. I'm just looking what the club want to do now.
You're the same. I'm act like a big boy.
Of giving my opinions, because to be honest with you, our opinions don't matter. At the end of the day, I didn't want Ramsdale. Ramsdale's come in and helped elevate the side. I didn't want Ben White. Ben White's come in and elevated the side. Yeah. I didn't know about Gabriel. He's come in, elevated, and so on. So I think, it's not about what we want. It's about what the club does, and then obviously what we do next season. But you are right. This is a big one. We have to start moving like a big club, because we are a big club, and in the transfer window we've never moved like we're a big club. So that's the turnaround we need to see, Ryan. But listen, we have got a hell of a lot of callers on, Ryan. So
man, big up.
It's a pleasure talking to you, my guy. Take care of yourself.
Keep up the good work, man.
Love you, bro. Big up, man.
Love you.
Nice one, bro.
Big up.
Yeah, I mean, 300 million, I think that's fair. That's fair. Why not?
3 mil, yeah? 300 mil, yeah?
Why not? Why not?
Would you be happy with 250 mil still? That's a good amount though as well, surely.
I'd say 250 is a good amount, but at the end of the day, I mean, it's them that's waited this long if we start moving like the big club we are this summer, then 300 mil will just leave just like that, because that's the market we're in now. And it's not my fault, it's not your fault, it's not Ryan's fault, it's no Arsenal fans' fault that these owners have waited this long to start moving like a big club if they decide to.
I think 300 mil is acceptable because it's not going to, only if obviously we make sales, which is obviously down to Edu and the team, they're Richard Garlick and that. And again, we've got Champions League football now. There's money there to play with. We spent 150 million in COVID season. We spent the most in that window, yeah. So you can expect more of that with sales, and like I said, the bonuses from the Champions League. 250, I would say. 300, be happy. I think between Caicedo and Rice, that's about 175 million for them both. And I still want, and I still want a cover for Saliba. I want a striker. That's 4, and that's going to push to around 250 to 260.
That's why I would have liked Asensio to come in as an option on a free.
Asensio, I haven't heard that name since
Gundogan and Tielemans are free options, but
allow Tielemans, man.
Yeah, you can say allow him, but at the end of the day, he's someone that's shown quality in the past, and if he's on a free and we are spending the bulk of our transfer budget on a Caicedo and Rice, then I wouldn't mind the Tielemans coming in as the third midfielder. But we'll see. Who we got on next? Rahil, I believe.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
I'm good, man. Is that how I say your name? Yeah, Rahil.
Rahil.
Yes, nice to meet you, man. How you feeling about this Caicedo stuff? Should we prioritize him now that Chelsea seem to be sniffing around?
Well, honestly, obviously, like most Arsenal fans, I would love to have both Rice and Caicedo, but I think we should stick to our transfer plan. We've been hearing Cecil's friend Edu speak about the plan and how they've planned from, like, you know, the planning starts. You can't start planning during the transfer window, so I'm sure they've come up with a plan, so we need to stick to that. And yes, the thing is, you know, with the targets we've always been linked with. You know, when we've been linked with the target for long, we never seem to end up getting the target, and that's my only worry. I don't want to be pessimistic. I'm really an optimistic fan, but if you look at Mudryk, or even if you go back as long as Benzema, Higuain, all those players we've been linked with for a long time, we never end up getting them. So there's a possibility that we might not end up getting Caicedo. Realistically, we should be targeting both. If we want to challenge City, we definitely need to get both in. And I would keep Partey, because yes, he dropped off towards the end of the season, but 75% of the season he was really, really good. Do you remember we were having those debates of who the best DM was in the league at that point in time, and Partey was in the conversation. So I wouldn't let him go. I wouldn't even let Xhaka go, because we're going to be in the Champions League. We need a very strong squad to be competing in both competitions. So yeah, I mean, the thing is, if we put the money down and Chelsea put the money down, I'm pretty sure Caicedo is going to come to Arsenal. We're in the Champions League. We're doing much better. That their club seems to be in a shambles right now. So the fact that yes, Chelsea are in for him does, maybe we might have to change our plans, but I think we should still stick to our guns, and I'm hoping that we go for both. But yeah, I mean, we need a lot of other players, like you guys have already mentioned. We need a forward, we need a backup centre back. Depending on what happens with Tierney, we might even need a left back. So there's a lot of holes. We still, you know, it's funny, we finished second and we still feel like we're 4 or 5 players short. So because the gap is so big between City and the rest of the league, so we have to go for both. You know, for me, both things can be true in the sense that that I do trust Edu and Arteta from, you know, what the signings have brought in the past few windows. We weren't keen on Ramsdale or Ben White, but they've done it really well. So even if we don't get our top targets, I know that whoever comes in will fit the culture, will fit the team, and will hopefully eventually end up doing well. But can we please get our top targets just for a change? It would be nice, right? Like, we always end up getting our second targets. Like Trossard, brilliant signing. I love Trossard, really good, versatile player. But again, he wasn't our first choice. So it would be nice if for once we get our top targets. But yeah, like I think Brandon mentioned in his call, Cecil, he needs to start speaking to Edu. I'm pretty sure he's not doing his barbecues, and I know that he's working hard, because I know he gets a lot of stick. I don't understand why, because he's done a pretty good job. I mean, if you look back 4 or 5 years ago when we had that whole shambles of Raul and Mislintat, and there was a complete chaos in the club. You know, we had no direction. With Edu and Arteta, they seem to be aligned. They are going for the right profile of player that we need at this point in time. But now again, the gap has gone up. I mean, now the margin for error is smaller. It's easier to jump from 8th to 5th, from 5th to 2nd. But now to get to the top echelons of the league, the margins are so small. So that applies even in the transfer window. We can't be messing around. We have to go in. And the Kroenkes, yes, they've spent money, and they seem to have changed their ways, but this is now when it really counts. We were in the Champions League before. Remember, top 4 was like a given. Yeah. And we just didn't push on, and now is the opportunity. Like, we have a really good foundation, and we need to build. We need to build on that. So I think we have to get both. And if we can't get maybe we get one. There has to be another midfielder coming in. I'm pretty sure there'll be a name none of us have heard of or even thought of, and they might get in and might work out for us. But either one or both have to come in for sure.
100%.
We need two midfielders.
100%. Listen, thank you for your time and thank you for giving your thoughts, my brother. Good to see you. And don't worry.
Just one more thing. Just to tell Turkish.
Go on.
With the Big Six. The Chile competition last week was hilarious. I'm so glad you did this because Matisse has been trolling us the whole season. So it was hilarious to watch. I really enjoyed that. So thank you, Turkish. Well played. I love the way you did the predictions. That was spot on. But yeah, karma comes in the end. You laugh at one of the biggest clubs, biggest fan base. It all comes around, swings and roundabouts. So well done. But keep up the great work, guys. And let's hope we have a really successful transfer window.
I'm sure.
Nice one, Rahil, man.
Big up, Rahil. I like. I'm gonna be on it. Of course, I'm gonna be on Edu this summer. But I got. Listen, remember, he is. This is me not excusing him. He is sporting director now. He has a new role. He is obviously going to be heavily involved in the transfers and the signing of players. But he also has a new role where he'll be doing more than just bringing in the players, and he'll have a team underneath him. But it seems like the Kroenkes are very much in line with Arteta and Edu and trusting in what they want. And I think it will be a big summer. And as the more people that come on and speak, the more my brain just starts going Turkish about other positions, other problems. Like if Martin Odegaard goes down, I know we're going a little bit off topic here, but if he goes down, who replaces him? Like we now I think we still need a 10. I know it was linked to Xavi Simons. I'm a big fan of Xavi Simons, but if you lose what Odegaard brings in that position, we might struggle. I haven't really seen a replacement. Luckily, he's been fit for most of the season, but you might want to drop in Jesus or someone like that in there, but there's no one really replacing Martin Odegaard, which then flags up another position that we need to address in that midfield. It's a worry of mine, and the longer it takes, that's why I need Arsenal to be proactive. The longer it takes, the more I start picking holes at what could go wrong. So yeah, listen, they got a big summer ahead, man. A big summer ahead.
And hopefully they get it done. Production, who we got next? So I think we have Tevin.
What's up, my guy Turkish? What's up?
What are you saying, bro? Is this the Tevin that
I'm good. Yes,
yeah?
sir.
Come
yes,
on, man.
Sir.
Come on.
Sir.
Nice to put a face to the name, man. You good?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm chilling.
Yeah.
It's been, I guess, my debut on one of these things, so
yeah.
Got to be on and give our thoughts. Big up, Cecil.
Love, man.
Where are you calling in from?
Florida.
Nice.
The Highly area, yeah, man.
Nice. What are you saying about Caicedo then? Should we prioritize him?
Yeah, we need to get him. I think we need to get him and Rice. Like I think it's about time. We need to start, I guess, planning ahead. We need to start moving forward. Like we're a big club. I've been a fan since '98, and we've never really gone out there and got the big name signings when they were there. They're young now. They're close to not prime years. I mean, Caicedo's still young, but Rice is at an age of 24. We need to get them. So we need to grow this squad together, give Mikel what he needs, and then it gives him the flexibility. I think Rice can give us the 6-8 flexibility, and I think Caicedo could give us the 6 and inverted right back flexibility.
Yeah.
Keep Partey as well. And we're going to be in 4 competitions. And all these 4 competitions, we're, at this point, based on what we did last season, we're expected to go far or win. And I mean, it's not to be, puff out our chests or anything like that, but I mean, we have to start being serious, and it only starts by getting our targets.
Tevin, so let's say if, listen, Caicedo just signed Tevin, sorry, not Tevin.
How you butchering that nice easy name, bro? It's Kevin with a T. It's Tevin, my bro.
What did I say?
That's what I've used to explain my name for years. So Turkish, you're
Come
good,
on, man.
You're the
My
G,
guy.
Turkish.
Come on,
There's a nice yard accent in there as well. But sorry, Tevin, my bad, my bro. But listen,
man, you're good.
He's just signed an extension on his deal. Brighton are in a position of power. Say if they're like, he's young, they know that Arsenal want him, and they're like, 120 million. We're not getting him unless you give us 120 million. Like, that's a lot of money. Like, I know you say we have to go get him, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is it worth spending the big bucks on Caicedo? That sort of money?
What does Mikel Arteta want? I think, do we trust this manager and his talent ID? Yes, there have been some duds, but if you look at most of his signings, what he wanted out of those players, he's got them. He's progressed us this far. At this point, I think he deserves the benefit of the doubt to say, if we're at the end of our process, which I think we are, if he says, I want Caicedo, no matter what the cost is, if we overpay for these players, if we win a Champions League, if we win a Premier League, it doesn't matter what these players cost. That would be irrelevant. Imagine winning the league this year, or sorry, next year. I'm not saying we will, but if we win the league next year and probably win the Champions League year after that, is anyone going to care about the price of Caicedo? No. So at some point we have to. Chelsea did it. Man U did it. At some point we have to be like, all right, I don't care what the price of these players are, because if it works out, the money pays for itself.
That's a big if, though. That's a big if, because a lot of these clubs, you mentioned Chelsea. Chelsea spent a lot of money, like 600 million. But
I get that.
Look at them.
But we're not. The thing is, we're not a club that does that consistently. If we're here, we're here right now by doing smart business, right? I understand that. But at what point do we take the risk to say high risk, high reward? I will objectively say we're a few steps short of Manchester City based on depth alone, right? So if we want to add a Declan Rice, which I think moves us a bit, but I don't think it moves us over the edge. If we can add versatility, speed, power, technical ability to that midfield behind a Odegaard, behind a Jesus, behind a Saka, behind a Martinelli, where they can then focus on only being in the third, and then we have the pace and the power and the technical ability behind them. I can't see how that won't pay off. Everybody's going to get better next year. That's according to, rival fans or whatever. We have to put ourselves in the best position going forward. And we can't keep telling Mikel to work miracles with his second, third options. If he wants his first option, it's time to give him that doubt. Because in my opinion, if he doesn't win anything next year, I'm sorry, he should be on the chopping block. And give him as much as he needs to get where we need to go. And if Caicedo is 100, 110, hey, sometimes you got to bite the bullet with that. That's just my opinion.
Fair.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. High risk, high reward. Not every signing is going to work out, whether that signing is 10 mil or whether it's 100 mil. There's always an if. There's always an if. But the big if becomes bigger if you don't go in and try and, really improve your side.
I remember how you were, Turkish, when we could have gotten Vlahovic and we didn't. When we could have gotten, I'm not saying we could have gotten, but when we were in for Sergej Milinkovic-Savic, when we were in for players like Suarez, when we were for players like Benzema, it just never happened. Now all we can say is, if we did that, if Eduardo didn't get injured. Like, we've been like that. We've been that if club for years. Nah, it's time to be like, okay, if we tried and failed, that's a different story. But if we're not trying our utmost best to put ourselves in the position, then what are we even talking about at the end of the day?
The most recent if being if Saliba didn't get injured.
That's the
big if of this season, isn't it? But Tevin, listen, first and foremost, it's good to put a face to the name, my guy. Make sure you become a regular, man. Come on, make sure.
Man. You know it go already.
Come on, my guy. Come on. All right, listen, have a good rest of your day, yeah?
Respect, man.
All right, boss. All right. Yeah, man, Cecil. Big up yourself.
Love Tevin, man. Take care, my bro.
Quickly, for you. Do you sacrifice?
Sorry. You know when you got his name wrong, someone said, no wonder Cecil didn't get any lines in Little Mermaid.
I knew you'd fucking
That's a fucking good comment.
I knew you'd fucking pick that. I tried to ignore that. I read that. I said, I'll let that one slide.
That was a good comment. But go on, over to you.
Anyway, for you now, do you, I'd love to chat to get involved in this as well. Say we signed three midfielders. Say we got Rice, Caicedo and another midfielder in the 10 role. Do you sacrifice all other positions for those three midfielders? So we obviously need to cover for Saliba. We need, some people say, striker, a winger, a right back. Say, would you be happy with the window if we just brought in three midfielders?
Nah.
Swear.
No, not overly happy. It would be massive improvements for sure, because I think that's the area we need to improve. But we need a right back and we need a striker. So obviously with the three midfielders thing, I'm going go all in for the two and then get a free midfielder in as the third one. Gundogan being my first option, Tielemans being the second option. They're both on a free, and I know very different levels of quality, experience, and even outlook in terms of people would be over the moon with Gundogan. People probably be nervy about Tielemans. But at the end of the day, you can be shrewd with it. So I think Rice, Caicedo and Gundogan, perfect. Yes, it might be 200 mil across the 3 players, one being a free, the other 2 being 100 or 110 90 or whatever it is. Let's just say 200 million max.
What would you rate that? So if that happened, what would you rate that window?
What, just 3 midfielders?
Yeah.
If it was Rice, Caicedo and Gundogan, let's just use those names.
Yeah.
If it was those names, I'd rate the window. I'd rate the window as a strong 7.
Okay.
A strong 7.
I think that's very fair.
But you know, we've teetered in transfer windows. We teeter between the 3 out of 10s and the 6, 7 out of 10s. That's where Arsenal have been historically. It's time to get 8, 9s, 10 out of 10 windows.
Yeah, I want to see where people's. I want people to in the comments answer that as well. I want to just know where people's. I don't want to say ambition because I hate when people say, "Oh, you've got ambition. You got to be an ambitious fan." But I'll be interested to hear what other people's thoughts are of just getting 3 midfielders and basically pushing away the other positions we have to cover. What would you say with that? Say that, yeah, Rice, a Caicedo and a Gundogan, or instead of a Gundogan you get a Maddison, or instead of a Maddison you get a Xavi Simons, or you like you said a Tielemans. Those 3 midfielders, say if they come in, you're saying yes, around 200 million, maybe just over 200 million spent. What would you rate that? Because I think that's a fair question. Because I mean the other positions are important, but midfield for me is also very key, and I think that's what Arsenal really need to address this.
I think midfield and defence are more important than the forward, but that's not disregarding the need for another forward. We 100% need another forward just 100%. To be able to change it up if necessary. Just to be able to add that a bigger threat in front of goal. As much as we've scored a hell of a lot of goals I think we've scored the most goals this season than in any other season in Premier League history, I believe. So that bodes well. But when you look at individual games that potentially cost us along the way, it was a part of it was a lack of a plan B.
Yeah.
And that's why I want to add a forward. But when you look at the number of goals we conceded, the impact Saliba being injured had, defence is a priority. Whether that's a right back or a centre back to back up Saliba, either or needs to come in. Because if you get a right back, Tommy or Ben White can back up Saliba, that's fine. With the midfield now, because of the age and the profile of, let's say, a Xhaka and a Partey, who've been 2 integral members throughout the season, we need to be thinking ahead now. That's why Rice and Caicedo, age, profile, a mix of athleticism, technical ability, heart, passion, desire, all of those, leadership from Declan Rice being captain. I think those 2 signings cover all the characteristics needed in the midfield. But we need to get 5 men in. That's how I see it. I don't know how they want to do it. It's not up to me to say how they should do it or work out it, the FFP guidelines and all of this nonsense. But all I'm saying is we're in a great position finally to be able to flex. So let's flex.
Yeah.
Let's not wait, and like Tevin said, wonder what if. Again, another if. It's long. I'm tired of ifs.
No, I am as well. I think striker is my priority would be Saliba's re-signing. I think should be top of the list. And then, the midfield and then a striker. I've been screaming for a striker for the longest. Even when after Aubameyang kind of fell off, we had a different option in Lacazette. Didn't really bang in the Premier League, but we always had a different option. I don't know why Arteta's not pushing for that, because even when we had Jesus, even when we signed Jesus, I think there was fans saying we still need, like, we got linked to Vlahovic, so people still wanted another striker, even though we had, even though I was looking at like Jesus. So I feel like we need more than just one option when it comes to up front. But for me, part of strikers union as well, I always love seeing new strikers come through the door. Yes, we shared a lot of goals around this season, but we need a striker. I think it goes for me, Saliba re-signing, then the midfield, then striker. But then we have to look back at getting cover for Saliba as well. But interesting, I'm interested. 7 if you get those 3 midfielders. I want to remember that. I like that.
Before we get next caller, Ekena with a super chat says, we got so many fans in Dreamland. We offered Saliba 120k per week. You man know we ain't serious. I'd be surprised if we get Rice or Caicedo. Forget both. I'm with you. I mean that contract offer, if it is true, let's take all these Twitter rumors and headlines with a pinch of salt, because they don't know what the fuck they're talking about either.
I don't see Arsenal Football Club, knowing how good William Saliba is and what he's done for Arsenal this season, offering 120k a week. I think.
Oh, I can see it. We'd offered 40 million and £1 for Suarez.
Actually, to be fair,
so we've done some crazy things in the past, crazier things than offering him 120k. That's for sure.
But I'll tell you this for sure though. They would have definitely revised that offer. Waiting for him to sign, they've definitely revised it. I'm sure would have put more, offered more. Let's just hope he signs it. It's something that's very important. And him saying about forget both, it's one or the other. Again, I keep mentioning it when I spoke to like I said, Nigel, I'm dropping in Nigel Winterburn at the Emirates, and he said, like, when does Arsenal ever go for free midfield or get free midfielders in a window? He's like, it's very ambitious, or 3 or even 2. So, but that'd be,
No, I'm going to read out the next super chat. 40 says, Turkish, do you think we will have another season where goals are shared between the team as much as this? I think we need a clinical striker, 20 plus goals. Do I think we can have another season where goals are shared? Yes, but I also think we need a more clinical striker. I think both questions or statements are true.
Does anyone think that the shock factor of Arsenal played any part in this season, as in the shock factor of how just we came out the cages flying, in the sense of, like you said, different scorers and just fast football, dominating play? Is that shock factor affected how well we were? How well we played this season? Is that something that teams are going to cut on to come into the new season, like stopping Bukayo Saka's right side? And I know they tried to do that by double up, but Martinelli, they're aware of his threat now. Do you think that shock factor can damage us going into next season? People are aware how good this Arsenal side are.
It can have an effect. It's just, you have to do what you have to do. I mean, I'm sure we're going to come up against a lot more low blocks next season than we did this season. That being an example of an increased threat. It's up to Arteta to make sure we have the adequate tools to open up low blocks.
For you, is that you getting a difference in a striker?
Yeah, because when you're coming up against low blocks, your chances are going to be few and far between. So you need someone that, given a chance, he's burying it. And with Jesus and Eddie and even Trossard, you're not really going to get that clinicalness out of them. So it'd be better to have a striker or a forward that, in front of goal, he knows how to finish his dinner. That would be ideal. I think we've got a couple more callers, considering we're just coming up to the hour, people. But a couple more callers before we wrap up the show. Who we got next, Joe? Deanie in the building. What you saying, my bro?
Dreadlock killer.
Good evening.
Oh God, Deanie.
Come on, you understand? Chilling, you understand?
What are you telling me, Deanie, man?
Caicedo.
You know what? You see this Caicedo thing, yeah? I feel like it will come down to Caicedo's mentality, because at the end of the day, Chelsea have nothing to offer Caicedo right now. What do Chelsea have?
No, money, but yeah.
Like, I don't know. I don't know, because obviously with the budget situation, was it a thing of like, was it money, or was it a thing of the war in Ukraine where the money was put towards some funds or this, that, and the other, red, do you know what I mean? Like, with that situation, we'll leave it there, do you know what I mean? But with Caicedo right now, he's not in that situation. And if it comes down to money, then I don't even want Caicedo to come anywhere near Arsenal, because I want players that know there's a project right here. Mikel Arteta's right here. We got the Mandem right here. We're in Champions League football right here. We have all the cards in our basket. I shouldn't be worried about Chelsea right now. No Arsenal fan should actually be worried about Chelsea right now, because all they have to offer Caicedo right now is money.
But money talks, Deanie, bro. And I hear what you're saying. We have everything. I love what you said there. You're right, Champions League football. We can offer so much more. But in football, money, it talks so much. It talks very loud. Very loud.
Money spoke loud for Cucurella as well. Look, he's not having a great season. Do you know what I mean? Like, Caicedo needs to look at the players that have actually left Brighton and gone on to do good things. Cucurella and Ben White, polar opposites. Caicedo needs to look at that and see, okay, my boy's gone here, not gone so well. My boy's gone here. It's actually going here, and it could possibly go up there. Do you know what I mean? So I'm asking Caicedo, bro, what are you really trying to pick Chelsea over Arsenal when it comes down to it? Like, really? Like, come on. Do you know what I mean? Like, let's like, come on. Like, have some respect. Do you know what I mean? Chelsea finished where? 12.
Something like that.
Something mad. I don't know. Bottom. I don't
Something
know.
mad, you know what I mean?
It's on
Something
the
crazy.
scene
They don't even
more.
know where their man there are because they're so low. Do you know what I mean? Like, come on now. We shouldn't have to worry about Caicedo. And then with Caicedo, we need to get Declan Rice. And you know, Cecily brought up a good point as well. I didn't even think about the number 10. I didn't even think about, like, if Odegaard does go down,
Then what?
you could possibly put Trossard there, but Trossard is not of. We haven't seen Trossard play that role.
No one,
You know what I mean?
no one offers what
play-
Martin Odegaard offers. No one, apart from De Bruyne, no one offers what Martin Odegaard offers.
Exactly. And if we want to have someone of the same quality of the Martin Odegaard, how much do we need to spend on that position? Because now we're starting to ask, how much money do we need to spend? And this is why I understand why we would need to spend so much money to get Declan Rice, but I wouldn't spend 120 million on Declan Rice. Because it could have that backwards effect on the other positions we need to get. And I think it was, who was it? I think it was either James or Turkish that said this, but we didn't sign the other midfielder or right winger that we needed last summer. And we still need to buy the other midfielder and right winger that we need this summer as well, along with the other 3 midfielders that we need to get. Possibly another right back as well. So if we're spending 120 million on Declan Rice, how much more are we spending on the other positions? And how much money are we then going to get in from our outgoings? Because there's only maybe 3 players we can get like decent money for. Balogun we can get a decent amount of money for. Pepper we can get a decent amount of money for. Maybe even Tavares as well. But other than that, who will we really get money for? I think Maitland-Niles' contract is done up. Runner still ain't getting the money for. I think Marin's already sold. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, innit? You know what I mean? It's sticky situations. But on the question of Caicedo, we should not be worried about Chelsea.
Yeah, but the way Chelsea have been moving, Dini, and I get you. You know, I want players that listen. First and foremost, money does talk, and football is money now. But you want players that would sacrifice maybe 50k less to join a team that's on the rise, join a team that might be great or coming up to greatness, over a team that's just offering you 50k more. But the way Chelsea have been moving recently, they'd probably offer 100k more, and that's when the decision becomes a lot more difficult, because as much as yes, you want to join a project that's on the rise, a project that could be great, 100k difference in wages potentially, that would sway a lot.
Couldn't it be a thing of then, okay, he might get the 50k a week, but what's Saka's contract? He's on like 200k, but it could rise to how much more money if we progress and hit these targets and this, that, and the other. So we could possibly do that.
Yeah, that's the best thing to do, because I've admired both Manchester City and Liverpool models over the years. They don't actually have similar models, but when you look at Manchester City, for example, with the David Silvas and Agueros, not off the top of my head, I don't think any of them was too far over a base salary of 200k. There might have been 1 or 2 on 220, but it was the bonuses that would take them to 300, 350 if you achieve. I can fuck with that. I can work with that, because if you achieve, I'm happy. I don't care what you're getting.
Exactly. Most of the time they earn their bonuses, and that's what you're meant to do.
I actually agree with that. I just don't want it to be a case of where with Mudryk, I think it was a 5 million difference that caused the move to fall over come that January window.
When it's those five margins, it can be annoying when it's that small. But I feel like Arsenal are just being really careful with the mess that they've just come out of, and they don't want to go back into that with like maybe breaking the structure. I don't know how it works and this, that, and the other, but maybe they're just saying, you know what, this is how we're running right now. And until we're winning trophies and this, that, and the other, we need to keep this up. We need to make sure everyone knows their place and no one's bigger than the club. Maybe it could be that. Maybe that's why Saliba is not getting the 150 that he probably deserves, but it's still his first season. He was injured for most of it. He was still brilliant for where he was, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, you're not bigger than the club. I feel like Arsenal are just being careful in that sense. But we need the players. But yeah, it's mad. It's mad.
We do need the players. Dini, we've got one more caller waiting as well, my guy. But
of course,
as always, my guy, lovely talking to you, man. Take care of yourself. Have a good rest of your day.
Yes, you too. Take care. Bless.
Come on.
Take care, Dini, man.
Sean says, I think 5 is the minimum we need. Goalkeeper, centre back, striker, right back, 6, 8, 10. You think 5 is minimum, but 7 is ideal. I'm saying. Chris mentioned goalkeeper as well. Maybe that's something we talk about, not on this show, but moving forward. I don't need us to get another keeper. I think Ramsdale should be starting Premier League, Champions League, and League. I mean, and FA Cup, and Turner can start League Cup. That's just how it should be. Goalkeepers don't tend to get injured, so I think we're all right in the goalkeeping department. Last caller, who we got production? Javi? Yes, Javi, what are you saying, man?
Javi, yeah.
Hey, man, I'm glad you like my Little Mermaid comment. Cecil, that was me, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Come on.
Fuck you both.
Come on.
Fair enough. But yes, I didn't have. All right, cool, whatever. I didn't have any words, but I got my credit. Okay, I'm proud of that. Whatever you lot say, I may butcher some names, but it is what it is. Big man,
say no more.
Hold tight, Disney and that. All right, talk to us then, Caicedo. I'm sure you got a lot to say on this. Talk to me. Should we be going straight in through them? Should we not be wasting time? Proactive. I know Turkish loves to say never react, to be proactive. Arsenal, where are you at?
There's absolutely no reason why we should be dropping that amount of ridiculous money for central defensive midfielders when we need 5-6 players in other positions. This is crazy.
So you wouldn't entertain it then?
Listen, if it's the final piece to the jigsaw, and that's... I'm hearing a lot of background noise in the back as well. Can you hear me well?
Yeah, we can hear you, but it kind of cuts out here and there. Just start that bit again.
Maybe this will do it.
Well, Javi fixes up his... Nope, we can't hear you at all now.
Oh, yeah,
I think production will sort that out anyway, so we'll see. But I think he's gonna, angle it from the value sort of point. What you're saying about 250 mil and spending the bulk of it on 2 midfielders. Have we sorted that out?
Yeah, I think you guys should be able to hear me now. No?
Yeah, all good. So what are you saying about Caicedo then? You're not entertaining a bidding more?
Of course not, man. Of course not. First and foremost, it's Chelsea. And I don't really see how this is competition. People say money talks. All right, money can talk. Doesn't mean I have to listen. But the reality is that, Turkish, you and I, we spoke over here in Orlando back in the summer. Mm-hmm. And we had signed Zinchenko, Jesus, and Vieira at the time. I want another midfielder and winger. You agreed. And on top of that, you wanted another striker. We never actually addressed those positions. Because even though we signed Jorginho and Trossard, everyone is still saying we need 3 midfielders. And everyone is still saying we need another striker and a winger. Plus, we probably need another right back. Plus, we might need an actual backup left back if Cheney moves on. That's 6-7 players that you need to bring into this side just to be the finished product. So how can we be entertaining dropping 100 million on center defensive midfielders? Not even a world-class striker, a CDM. And it's just like, these guys are good, but come on, you're acting like they're the reincarnation of Sergio Busquets. Get Busquets in his prime, shoot him in both kneecaps, put him in a wheelchair. They'll still start over Rice or Caicedo. Let's be real here. It's not adding up. And people talk about, we got to move like a big club. First of all, we're not a big club. Let's clarify that. And then secondly, being a big club is not dropping stupid money on prices. Being a big club is being proactive. We've been linked to Zubimendi since January. He's got a £50 million release clause. A big club says, all right, everyone thanks for the season, lap of honor. Next day, Zubimendi signed, activated £50 million release clause. All right, you guys want to take the make out of us with $100 million price tags being thrown around for center defensive midfielders? We'll activate the release clause over here. One position sorted. We say that we have assets to sell.
He is completely different to I like Zubimendi from what I've seen and more so heard, but he is completely different profile-wise to Caicedo in terms of his attributes.
No, I agree with you. But it addresses one of the positions that we need. But dropping 100 million pounds on a player, I just don't think it makes sense when we need 5-6 guys. Mm-hmm. Listen, if we want to drop 100 million pounds and go into next year with Eddie Nketiah and Reece Nelson and them lot, all right, sure, go ahead, do it. But I see that, and I'm just saying, okay, great, we're signing one of our big guys and we can flex, great. But there's still 5-6 other positions that we're going to need to address.
So Javier, let me ask you the same question I asked Turkish. What would you rate the window if we got Rice and Caicedo and another midfielder? So say anyone that you choose in that 10 role. What would you rate that if we ignore the rest?
5 out of 10.
5.
Because that addresses half of the positions that we need. And listen, Turkish. I mean, listen, Cecil. It depends what they want to do. If they want to just coast another year, getting top 4 and, you know, putting in respectable performances in the Champions League just to say we tried, then sure, give it a 10 out of 10. If you want to compete and win trophies, that's not addressing the positions that we need. But then again, our fan base, I mean, listen, we're in the spaces all the time. You saw me get into it with Belgium the other time. Our fan base is literally out here throwing 8s, 9s out of 10s for the season because we had good vibes and the kits were nice. Oh, our players got a little bit of drip and they're cool people, so 8 out of 10 season. Oh, my wife cheats on me, but it's okay because she's a good dresser. Like, that's the standards that our fan base had.
It did go off in that Twitter space, to be fair.
That's the standard.
Oh, I just lost him.
I think we might. No, he's back. He's back.
You back? There we go.
5 out of 10.
So, yeah, I mean, if we're all saying we need 5, 6 players, and we sign 3 players, I don't care if it's the reincarnation of Jesus Christ himself. Like, we're still having signed 3, 4 other players. And what's crazy is that we were saying, oh, Vlahovic was too much for 70 million. No. So to sign a world-class striker, we have a budget cap. But to sign a center defensive midfielder, oh yeah, 100 million, 120 million. Oh yeah. Like if it's the Busquets with Yaya Toure and you know, Andre Pirlo on one player, like get real.
Is 90 million any difference to you? Because it's seeming like they're also looking to build a bid to 90 million. Is that too much?
That's ridiculous. Wow. Listen, when Liverpool signed Van Dijk for that amount of money, when Liverpool signed Van Dijk for that money, the difference was that was their missing piece to the jigsaw. That was the last player that they needed to complete the whole entire project. That makes sense. But you don't sign that player when you need 5, 6, 7 other players just to actually have a decent side with actual quality and depth to compete on all fronts. I don't want to experience a 10-2 on aggregate against Bayern Munich. I don't want to go through that. Thank God I wasn't an Arsenal fan during that time, but I don't want to go through that. So if you tell me that all we need is 1 or 2 players and we want to play over the odds to get our number 1 option, pay the fucking money. Not when you need to sign a whole entire backup side just to be decent enough to compete on all fronts. It's ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous. And if we are going to spend big money on that one player, spend it on a guy that's going to drop 25, 30 goals in a season. Not a guy who's going to be able to put in a couple of tackles, you know, when we play with 70% of the ball. That's crazy.
So you're happy to concede Declan Rice and Caicedo then if they're around the 100 million regions? Are you happy to just say it's too much, even though it's not your money and whatnot? You're happy to be like, forget that, let's look for other options?
People have to say, oh, it's not my money, but I think that's a very, no disrespect, it's a very thick way of looking at it. Because the reality is that there's financial fair play, there's a wage structure involved. You need to make sure that the money is actually working out. And so you talked about, oh, we finally have assets.
Yep.
Yeah, but nobody wants to sell those assets. Holding is not an asset. Nicolas Pepe is not an asset. Nuno Tavares is not an asset. We're going to have to be paying people to take them off of our hands. The assets that we actually have that we can get decent money for are the likes of a Partey or a Balogun or an Nketiah that you can probably sell for 20 million plus. You talk about being proactive, being ruthless as a club. It's not spending 100 million on Rice. It's saying, Balogun, Eddie, we're going to sell you both, and we're now going to go ahead and get that big profile of striker that can score 30 goals. That is being ruthless. That is being proactive. Proactive is what City does when they, like, what was it, last year in the summer when they were stacked up top, but they said, oh, there's this really exciting forward over in River Plate. We're not going to wait 6 months to get into a bidding war. No, we're going to buy him now, loan him right back to that same club, and then we'll sell who we got to sell to make him work in. But now our club is like, no, we're going to keep the Granit Xhaka move on hold and make sure that we have a target lined up before we let him go. And by the time that we're finally ready to sign him, somebody else came in and dropped 120 million. And then we're going to be like, oh, that's too expensive, blah, blah, blah. And that just if you know that's what's going to happen.
I hear that. With your logic, though, you're telling me that so we should go for a top striker. Say Victor Osimhen got a bagsman, but then sell the players that we just mentioned, some of the assets there. We'll be left short then, surely, Javier. Like, surely that's a weaker position than what we're campaigning for, shall I say, like getting the Rices, the Caicedos. I'm confused by that.
I don't think so. Jesus Osimhen is better than Jesus, Eddie, and Balogun.
You know, I hear that. But he said, like, say the players that he said the assets, I don't know, the Baloguns, the Eddies, as Xhaka, say, and all that. But you just get a Victor Osimhen because he said just get one striker. to
I'm not
score
saying
goals.
that. I'm saying we need 5-6 players.
Okay.
And I'm saying if we're going to drop 300 million pounds this summer, address the 5-6 players. Don't drop 200 million on 2 players and then go into next season, okay, with fringe players who you're going to have to move on from eventually, who you're still going to have to move on from. So, like, what are we doing here? Like, if I told you, right, and we're playing FIFA or Football Manager right now, right? So we're all just speculating. But if I told you we got Zubimendi, we got Xavi Simons, and we got Ryan Gravenberch from Bayern Munich, who's probably going to go to Liverpool for 30 million, right? We got Fresneda at right back, and we got, let's say, another winger to challenge Saka, and then we spent the big money on a player, and we dropped 250 million, and we got all those players. Are you going to tell me that we're not in a much better position and we have depth and 2 players for each position all across the field? That makes more sense to me.
Of course.
Kulusevski, who's at Tottenham, who's an Arsenal fan, Tottenham is actually trying to be frugal about the option to buy clause that they have from Juventus. So there's a chance that transfer might not come through. We're all saying Saka needs somebody to challenge him. Why is Arsenal not saying, oh, they don't want to pay the $25 million option to buy? Here's 35 million. Now we have a winger that actually pushes Saka and can start over him if we need to. But no, we're going to enter into a bidding war for Rice.
I hear that. I think you can get Rice. I think Rice is, in my opinion, I think that's pretty much close to it. But I think you can get Rice, Caicedo. That's about 170 million, 175, could be more. Plus a striker or a winger. I think you can get that. I think you're right. I want to get more than, I want four to five signings, but I think you can get that with the money we're talking about here. I think Fresneda, which we're going to speak about in a second, his release clause is 20 million euros, which has just been released by Fabrizio Romano. So you can add that. That's still low income, and you can get these players to challenge Saka, get a right back, get the 2 midfielders. I'd love 3, but I'd never see Arsenal getting 3 midfielders in the window, if I'm completely honest. But you can get all this. So we're kind of saying the same sort of thing, but I don't see getting rid of conceding on Declan Rice and Caicedo is the right way of going about it. I think you can get both of them and still stay in 250, 300 million mark. And that's what Arsenal should be doing.
Unfortunately, though, knowing this football club, we're probably not going to do that. And knowing this football club, we're probably going to go around, talking about how Eddie Nketiah and Reece Nelson and all these lot are, amazing football players. And we'll sign maybe 3-4 signings from some guy we've never heard of. And then everyone's going to say we had an incredible window and we're the greatest team the world has ever seen, just to not win anything. So that's what's going to happen. It's like it happened last summer. I mean, like I said, we're the fan base. Like, you know what, Cecil? This is the difference between elite clubs and clubs like us, because everyone has to say that we're a big club. Real Madrid fans whistled at Cristiano Ronaldo because he didn't want to renew his contract. He was asking for big money. They whistled at him after he had just won them 3 Champions Leagues in a row. Our fan base sings, "Granit Xhaka, we want you to stay." That's all you need to know about the standards of this football club, about the standards of this fan base, and why we, as a fan base, do not demand from our sporting directors and from our owners what is needed to compete. Real Madrid just got rid of Karim Benzema. You think they're going to go around and not sign a top-level striker?
No, they're looking at Harry Kane. Yeah,
Bayern Munich is going to do the exact same thing. Everyone, even Guardiola himself realized, all right, this little false 9 stuff or whatever, which worked for me for a very long time, I need to have a striker if I want to compete on the European front. And I have to change my system because the game is getting more physical, and the days of being 5'7" and being technically gifted, those days are over. Now you have guys who are 6'4" and are technically gifted. The game is getting more physical. I need to go ahead and get that high-profile striker. We're not doing that. We still need 6-7 players, and we're not addressing what we address.
You know what it is, though, Javi? I think the reason I don't care too much about price tags anymore is because I'm not disagreeing with you on whether it's worth it or whether going into next season with just the 2 midfielders, Rice and Caicedo, makes sense, because it doesn't. I agree with you on that. But let's use Real Madrid as an example. I mean, last summer I forgot off the top of my head what they've spent, but they sold Casemiro. They bring in, I think Camavinga was a couple of years ago. Tchouameni was last year. That left them with no backup for Benzema, for example. Barcelona, it seemed that all their eggs are in a messy basket going into this transfer window, and Xavi's insinuated that holding midfielder is also a priority. But the reality is they probably need a striker or someone to put it in the back of the net as well, because yes, Lewandowski's there, but all right, La Liga isn't the most intense league in the world, and he'll still get goals there, but I think the market now is so difficult to maneuver financially because of the price tags and the fees going about, that even great clubs like like Real Madrid and Barcelona, leave themselves short. Manchester City, I guess, is the only example that they go into every season covered in all departments.
Yeah, no, 100%. But the thing is that Barcelona is run terribly. But you look at Real Madrid, Florentino Perez, he is smart enough to understand that he can probably sacrifice a year or two to then guarantee another 5-6 years at the top level. It was not in his plans to sell Casemiro. I mean, that was starting holding midfielder. But when Man United came and gave him big, stupid money, he was like, if I can sell a guy who's 30 years of age for 70 million and then sign a 22-year-old for 80 million, yeah, that's worth it. Right? Meanwhile, we're over here like, Granit Xhaka, we want you to stay. No, Thomas Partey, please don't leave. Thomas Partey, even though you've been injured 33% of your Arsenal career and you hide whenever you get bullied. Oh, no, you're a Rolls Royce. Oh, my God, a Rolls Royce, a Rolls Royce. That's our fan base. So if you tell me that we need to, at the very minimum, ensure that we are, that if you, here's what's crazy. When I said, hey, we don't have the quality and depth this season to compete on all fronts, let's just focus on the Premier League and the FA Cup, we didn't do so. We tried playing on the European front and the Premier League front. It led to injuries in the Europa League, which affected the Premier League. And Cecil, you can vouch for me. You know I said
Yep, 100%. Yep.
So going into this season, if you tell me, hey, the objective is just to solidify top four and win the FA Cup or whatever it is, then fine. Get Rice and get Caicedo. That's fine. But if you tell me, let's make sure that we can actually try to compete on all fronts, then the key is then making sure we have quality and depth. And that means buying a Xavi Simons, buying a Zubimendi, buying a Fresneda, doing those things. It all depends on what this club wants to do. Same thing with Real Madrid. Florentino Perez said, I'm probably going to be short. I'm probably not going to be able to compete at the highest level. But if it means I can get Tchouaméni and lock my midfield of Tchouaméni and Camavinga and Federico Valverde for the next 10 years, and then next year go ahead and get that top level striker that's going to go ahead and push me to the next level, then fine, I'll do that. Because those 22, 23-year-old players are going to be there during that building process. We're still 7 players away from being the finished product. So why are we holding on to 31-year-old players? That's the point I'm trying to make here. So what's the point of signing a Rice and a Caicedo for a combined 200 million if next year Xhaka and Partey are going to be 31, 32 years of age? And we still need 5 other positions to address. By the time that we address those positions, we're going to have to be bringing in Partey and Xhaka's replacement. So now it's 2 other players that you have to drop money on. If financially and just logistically, it doesn't make sense. And that's the point I'm trying to make here. If they're the last pieces to the jigsaw, okay, but they're not. We have some big decisions to make. We have assets that we can sell, but nobody wants to sell them, and nobody actually wants to cover the depth that we need to cover. And I don't understand why. I don't know. Maybe I'm just crazy, but I'm looking at it, and this club needs so much surgery across so many areas, and I don't see this club dropping 500 million and like Chelsea does it. We're not doing that. So I say at least be smart about how you spend your money.
No, we'll see how that goes, Javi. Listen, as always, it's interesting talking to you, Javi. Pleasure. You are the last caller, so we'll talk again on Twitter Spaces or next week on FanZone or whatever it is. But take care of yourself, my bro.
Take care, my bro.
Yeah, likewise, guys. Thanks for hearing me out. I have a lot to say.
No worries, my guy. Come on.
Just quickly, I know we're wrapping up here. Just that last bit coming for Fabrizio Romano. Whilst was live, by the way, the Ivan Fresneda's release clause is now available at 20 million euros. That's confirmed as Relvo reported from Spanish reporter there. Sources feel Fresneda could still leave for less than 20 million euros in the summer. Interest from Arsenal, but no bid from Arsenal. Dortmund strongly interested as well there as well. You can see it there on your screen, on your one there. But so that was just reported whilst was live. So there's an update there. I know you've been on Ivan Fresneda as well. You've been saying he'd be a good addition.
I don't know him that well. I mean, if that's what Arteta wants, that's what he sounds like. He's a good talent.
And the price sounds good.
20 million euros. That's about what? 17 mil?
Yeah, a million. That should be light work for these lot. And just quickly, before we do wrap up and I'll pass over to Turkish to close the show, I want to mention that Lydia Bedford, she's a woman who was a manager, assistant coach at Arsenal Football Club and managed Leicester City. She is now managing Brentford's under 18s as the men's, the youth team. She is the manager there. There's been no woman ever manage the men's professional side in the UK, and this is or even at youth level or at first team level, and she is the first leader. Hopefully that leads the way for more female coaches in the game. Obviously on the men's side, there's always men coaches managing female teams and women teams, so big up to her. She's a path setter, and she's ex-Arsenal player and Arsenal assistant coach as well, so I wanted to just highlight that as well. Big up Lydia Bedford for that, making big moves there. But anyway, it's been a good show.
Yeah, I mean, listen, very different opinions on Caicedo. Something we should go all in, some not caring too much about the money, some like Javi at the end there says we got to be shrewd with it. We can't go and overspend on midfield and leave other areas open to cause problems next season. So we'll see how it goes. This is just the beginning. The window's not even open yet. We're going to be doing FanZone at least twice a week, every week throughout the transfer window and throughout pre-season. So make sure you're here, download the app. Apologies to anyone that didn't make the show today. I know we had a couple other callers waiting in the back end. Apologies to you. Make sure you're on again this Friday. Robbie will be running FanZone. You can take part then. Next Monday, someone again next Friday, and so on. We are here. Subscribe, put the notification bell on, download the app, and you're ready to go, people. But this is the end of today's FanZone. Chelsea out of Ugarte deal. He's going to PSG. They're going to be prioritizing Caicedo, it seems. So what do Arsenal do? Let us know in the comment section below if you're watching this video after. If you're still here, 1.8k, hit the like button. We're only on 300 likes, so let's get the likes up too. Love for the love, people. We are out. Peace.
Shop for AFTV merch at shop.aftv.co.uk. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, and Twitch. We've got content for every platform, so check it out.